two of the four of us did, and you've seen how they voted. I don't even say their names.
So we knew how one was gonna vote before it ever started.
Were you the first to go on Facebook and do that live town hall? And I think Steve and Stan ought to do the same thing in their district.
Yeah, and that's what, and don't even forget about that, because when we get to the end of this part, talking about next year, that's something I wanted to mention. I think it's just something I learned from my other career, and it's been a great tool to reach out and communicate with the public, for sure.
I have a question. What was their interest in giving these developers a tax break to reduce the revenue that's gonna come to Greenville County? What was their incentive to do that? I mean, they were gonna be able to do it anyway, the developers. So what was their incentive to want that to happen?
Yeah, there's a kickback somewhere.
What was their incentive, as in what they would tell you, or what was their incentive as to what I feel like happened?
Yeah, well,
I'll tell you both if you want.
okay, I'm both.
I've learned that I couldn't tell you how, I couldn't tell you the paper trail, but it would not surprise me in the least if deals aren't being made somewhere, some way, somehow. When stuff doesn't make sense like this, that's the first thing you think of, and it just reinforced itself the more we push towards the finish line. But there's some reason that they're pushing for this, because number one, it's in an area that doesn't need it, period. Like, nobody in Berea wants more low-income apartments and density and that kind of stuff. It just, that's why it was easy for me to vote against the budget, because I know my constituency, I know we didn't want a tax increase, and I know that we don't want apartments. So anytime it's even a question, they don't even ask, because they already know the answer. So when this happened, and I saw my leaders, like every chairman of every group were the ones that were pushing for this to go here. And that made me ask myself, why? And if just because we defeated it, which is great, doesn't mean I'm not gonna stop trying to figure this out, because it happened to me this time. It's probably happened 1,000 times in the past. And to make a long story short on that part, I think it's something that's been going on, that the new council and the new way in which we can share information and the new way people are getting involved is exposing it. And it's just like draining the swamp. It's like when you drain the swamp, doesn't mean that those floppy, nasty things aren't still on the ground flopping around, and that's what we're starting to see, because the water's gone. But it's great because it's exposing them. But what the incentive is supposed to be is you're providing a way for people who, because of inflation and the way rents went up in Greenville County and all, can still access housing to go to work. The problem with that is where they put this one, there's no jobs, there's no industrial business, you have to walk 20 minutes to get to a bus stop, which takes an hour for the next bus to come around.
That was brilliant on Facebook when you did that map.
It's just, it made zero, to go to the park, you have to go down White Horse Road, 30 minutes walking if you don't have a car, and they're saying this based on if people need affordable housing, they might not be able to drive as much, so everything's supposed to be within close enough proximity to get to where you don't have to have transportation, and none of that checked off. So other councilmen were saying that it fit the policy, and I'm sitting there scratching my head and said nothing about it, 0% of it fits the policy.
Well, they know the 15-minute cities in the long-term goal.
Well,
it will.
Right, and that's another terrifying part about what's going on, is you can see those components coming together too.
Yeah.
Honestly, the bad part is I don't know if enough people on council actually even pay enough attention to politics to know that that's a thing. That's how completely nose blind they are to some stuff. And because they're too focused on other interests that doesn't benefit the county and the people.
So,
Benton, I would like, want to be careful with your time and you take the floor, but when it comes to switching gears just for a moment, and you can go back and answer anybody's question.
Sure.
The right to free speech at the abortion clinic, how does the sheriff ask the council, or how did that all come about? And thank God it got shot down, but then it's going to be rewritten, and are you part of that rewriting clause, or how did that all come about? And then where do we go from here?
that was,
Thank you.
that was something that it came before a committee, it didn't even come to council yet. So a lot of us hadn't even seen it, it came through public safety. So Hobart came and presented that to public safety. And I think Mike Barnes maybe is the one who brought it forward as far as the councilman who presented it, but I don't know how much he had to do with the process of it. And what it sounds like to me, and I with Hobart, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know he's trying to do a good job. I don't think he realized the constitutional ramifications of what they were discussing, or he didn't read it, one or the other, I don't know. But once he realized, like the second he realized they were on before enough people had even sent emails, they were already backing that thing out the door, because they realized we messed this one up. So I want to try to lean towards the side of a little bit of grace there, because I think that he, or whoever put that together, either pulled one over on him, or he just didn't realize that it was gonna be
So
taken
the
away.
mechanism of county council is the public safety department can write a draft, and then y'all put it into law for the city and the county?
They can make an ordinance, ordinances come through our committees, like if it's a more of a money related thing, it comes through the finance committee.
Okay.
So like I could bring an ordinance to finance myself and write it and bring it forward, and then it would go to full council if it passes finance, and then we would see it at full council. So that's, it hasn't made it to full council yet, and I honestly don't think it will, nor will it come back. I'll say it this way, Hobart mentioned in the back when we were talking, he said, well, it almost did what they were hoping that it did, because they've had peaceful days ever since it was talked about being introduced, but it's almost like, yeah, we did it, but we're gonna let it kind of fade away into the bushes. So that's kind of where that one is currently. But if anything of it comes forward, it's not gonna pass. There's enough people I've talked to on council already that would have voted no if we were voting on it that night, people were there, so.
There's enough laws on the books right now that take care of it. They
Yeah, but how many people of them do
They
you
need to
trust?
enforce the current
How-
laws.
How many people of them that told you do you trust?
How many well, as far as that goes?
On the council, you see what I'm saying? I mean, they
No,
can say
yeah.
that, but they're still gonna blindside you.
Right, well, and when I say that, I'm saying it based on a lot of pieces that I'll discuss in here too, but there's a lot of these people that have been kind of doing whatever they wanted to do and not having to answer to their voters, to their constituents, but 6 of them are gonna have to answer to their voters and constituents for the next 12 months leading up to the next election, so that part's gonna be even harder the closer we get to election time for them to just do what they wanna do and be like, they'll say something like, oh, they'll forget about it by election time. I've actually heard that from people. I said, you're crazy. It was involving the budget, they
They
said.
might have used to, but they're not this
I was
time.
at that day.
No, and that's what I'm glad about is that
Those backdoor nest
people
eggs
aren't
last longer
forgetting
than
it
12 months.
anymore.
Who's up for re-election and when?
We have, this coming election would be, well, first the good ones too. Stan and Steve will both be up for re-election. It's their turn. It'll also be, Liz Seaman, Butch Kirby, Chris Harrison, and, Mike Barnes and Enos Fant will all be up for re-election.
And that's as of when?
The people who are gonna run against them, I think they put their name in the hat by March. So it'd be for the 24th, like the
The
upcoming
24th.
election.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But as far as people that I just know that I can trust in general, I think I have,
2.
I wonder if
Maybe
I'll
3.
answer that. Yeah, there's a spirit, not the majority, that's for sure. I'll say
Two,
that.
well, I was had my brain.
Right.
2, and one's a potential political inside.
Yeah.
I can't respond to that comment.
That's wise. Okay, let me get you back on track. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, I'll finish the Cherokee Landing thing and we
Okay.
can move on to something else,
Real
but
quickly, who's the developer?
TW Development, and they're out of Atlanta, and then the company name is Cherokee Landing LP, and that company's out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Where is this?
It's off of White Horse Road where the post office is, and
Right
it's
hand,
off
okay.
Berea Heights Road.
Yeah, I mean, they already just built up the other end of the road on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's another issue we have is our staff doesn't do anything except look at a computer screen. Like most of them's never come to the district. or if they have, it was back when they did the community plans, like in 2016, and everything's changed since then. So when they're making choices based off an area that had no apartments and now there's 6 of them, it's gonna make them say, oh, sure, you can put it there. And that's happened before where I've actually said, well, have you actually looked over there and seen what's there
Let me
now?
go back to that again, because you said it had to do with the zoning. So was this stuff just zoned recently?
No, it's just been zoned and nobody had purchased the property and built on it. So it was zoned multifamily for whoever the former property owner was. And so whoever buys it then can do whatever's under that
They
zone.
bought it
Okay,
cheap
but,
before COVID came.
Are there
They
any,
bought the land cheap before COVID.
Well, you know what's weird about it? They didn't. They had it under like agreement, but they hadn't bought it. They didn't buy it till May of 2022 when land was like the highest you could possibly buy it at, and then they want to get a discount from the county. And I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna work. But to kind of wrap that up with why, because I didn't get to explain it except on the live stream, there's 128 units at Cherokee Landing.
right,
And through the state, every one of them were affordable housing.
right,
So our tax incentive with the county, if you look at it like an overlay, like you sit it on top of something, so take 128 dots. And if you take the incentive the county had, the developer was supposed to give us 28 rooms to be affordable, but they're already affordable at the exact same level. So if you put the overlay on, the only thing different is they're getting a 50% tax break for 20 years. They didn't give us anything for it. So that was just, there was thing after thing that didn't match up or make any sense. So luckily, I got enough of that information out to the public, and I wanted to say thank you to everybody in this room who had anything to do with it, sent an email,
right.
prayed, called somebody, because they want us to think, and they tell us this all the time, that it's only the loudest voices that show up, and it's a small amount of people that yell and complain. And I've tried to tell them, I said, no, there's a lot of people, and if you make me make them show up every time, that's what I'll have to do. But they're trying to make this illusion that it's always a small portion. You can listen to them, but don't really listen to them. And that's, I mean, I'm new at this, but I think however
You're
long I
seeing it.
do it, I'm never gonna do anything other than
Good.
listen to what I'm supposed to do from people that vote for me.
Even the local news is doing that with the airport downtown. I saw something on the news today.
The overlay
They're like,
they're
well,
doing.
there's only one person that's opposed, it's Joe Farmer, is showing up and saying, wow, because they want to build probably what, 5,000-10,000 townhomes all the way around.
Oh, yeah. And that's what's coming. I was gonna say, as we're
Lawrence
talking,
Road.
this, when you said around,
Yeah.
is the new concept. They want to basically encase the city, which again goes to the 15-minute city concept, but like I said, I don't think they really know what that is, unfortunately. But it was a combination of all that. It was me getting information to council, because when you send an email or something, I make sure I send everybody on council emails, because I know it's FOIA requestable. And so they know that they're on the line when they start reading and responding to it. So there's a trail out there. So I always send everybody on council a long, probably too long sometimes, about why I'm voting yes or no on every issue that is remotely contentious, or that I'm gonna be on the opposition of the majority. And so they knew ahead of time all this stuff. Luckily, some of them, Mr. Curvin, he actually took the time to look at the location where it was at, and he ended up being one of the people who really kind of pushed back against them at the end.
Right.
But it
I thought
was,
a miracle.
yeah, I know,
It
well,
was a miracle.
like I said, at first it was 9-3, and then by the time we got through, it was completely opposite, and we won 8-3. And one person just magically didn't show up or vote. I'm gonna leave that part to, we have investigative journalists in the room, I'm sure they can. If it happened to me, then they're probably planning it for other people, and they even said that they have dozens of these things coming down the pipe. So
Yeah.
all I have to say is the fight's not over, but if they come to our district, they're gonna get a fight every single time when it comes to that.
That's right.
That next one will be across from the fire department.
Right, well, and that lands,
Crestwood?
I know on Windhorse.
talking about Berea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ingles owns that land at the moment, but somebody said that, Ryan Holmes or somebody's been
Yep.
trying to negotiate with them, so I'm actually trying to get people to pull the trigger on getting the fire department build it across the street, give them a.
Walmart was one 2 years ago, but they didn't.
Yeah, and that's kind of, for people that live on that side of town, there's like sections that I've looked at where I think that we need to kind of look at halting commercial type stuff, and then the rest is more of a residential area, and they just keep trying to shove stuff in places that it doesn't go, but I'm trying to somehow help facilitate
Well, I was
that.
going back to what I was saying, so when they did this zoning, how long ago was that? Long time?
Yeah, it's been a
So-
while. I don't know when we started zoning in Greenville County, but
So is there any recourse from the citizens to get it rezoned?
the problem is once they made the zoning order, it's not something that's
Or
really easy to just go back and
Well,
change.
no, I'm not saying it's easy,
Right.
but is there a course? And the second thing is there any restrictions? Because if there's no infrastructure in place or anything like
There
that,
you go.
is there any kind of restrictions like that?
There's not, and that's what's dangerous, is that,
So then shouldn't there be effort to be able to, put limitations on the zoning, even though it says, okay, it's X, Y, and Z, be able to say that only so many of those can be in a certain,
Yeah, to have the
area.
developers develop
Well, it's
that.
called a master plan, isn't it?
yeah, well, it
Does the
is.
county have a master plan?
They have one, but any plans we have are followed to the minimal degree possible.
Okay,
So enough to get by, but not enough to actually do what they're supposed to do.
can you bring that up to the council and revise the master plans?
No, I can, and that's one of the things, like, a lot of the points you're making, I would be doing now if I had the votes. The problem is, I know what I'm up against, so bringing it up now almost does it a disservice, because we're gonna get nowhere with some
Right.
people, because they're so into this particular agenda, there's no walking them anywhere other than this way.
But that's what we need to know. How many people we have to get to
Know the lay of the land.
besides flip the seats, we know we're gonna flip some seats.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just, it's just getting enough people to where right now they can kind of do whatever they want, because the people that have the majority of the votes have been there for a while, and they've made their alliances, and that's kind of the battle we're facing. So anything I bring forward, it could be the best idea in the world. And I have a video on my phone of Dr. Fant saying that whatever I bring forward, they're gonna shoot down. Because he, for whatever reason, thought it'd be smart to get on live stream and say it in front of everybody. So I happened to just screen record what he
That's
said.
perfect.
Benton,
What are the qualifications of being on county council?
Pay money and
You
sign
win.
up to run.
Paying money?
You have to
File
pay
registration fee.
file a registration fee, and
How
then
much is that?
$1,500, I believe.
Benton, on the zoning, is there anything that council can control, comes in, that they take care of the infrastructure,
Yes.
sewer, water?
Yeah.
Is that being done, or is that being palmed off with tax, and then we own it and we have to,
Right.
I mean, you got Malden, you got the Greenville water system down in TR, and then you got all this buildup. Is it matching? Is the
Again,
infrastructure keeping up with all the bills?
well, that's never been. They've, in probably 40 years, or maybe 60, based on SCDOT, what they said, we've never been caught up with infrastructure and future planning. We've been behind the 8 ball the whole time. They said, especially in our area where all the middle towns were, that's where all the money was at the time in Greenville, and all they needed was bodies and houses, so they didn't worry about what was under the ground, just what was on top. And so that's why now they're having to go back through and fix everything.
So developers at this point are not forced to pay for any of the infrastructure?
Not, and I was gonna say, it's only in certain classifications, so like an FRD or a PD, which
Okay.
is fixed residential development or planned development, is the two zoning classifications where it has to be specific. So, for example, there's over on the other side of White Horse Road, there's a pretty big housing development that was approved way back when I first came in. And when they came forward, I looked at the plan, and there was a lot of we may do this and we may do that. And I told him, I said, the only experience I have is tearing apart record deals because I unfortunately signed some bad ones. So I looked through this and I said, there's a lot of mays, but I need some shalls in here. So I said, for me to sign off on this, I need to say we shall or we will do this. And they agreed to it. And so that changed the whole dynamic of the agreement. So that, and I even asked him, I said, I would actually be interested in you making every loan sod instead of seed. Cause I talked to Mr. Kingsbury and that's where I went to my advisor and he said that if you put sod in a home, the value of the home's gonna typically be higher and they're gonna put more in the quality of the house even. So they agreed to do that. So at least I know it's gonna be a nicer division, subdivision of houses to live in. So there is ways to make them do things, but you have to have it in the right zoning classification to do that.
So the Cherokee Landing,
Mm-hmm.
is that a PD or?
No, it was just multifamily, so they could,
Anything goes.
yeah, they could do whatever fits into that classification, they're able to do,
But
which
they
is,
have to hook up. They have to hook up at the street level
yeah, well,
to the city.
well, in the way that I guess Metro has kind of came in and taken over everything, so if everybody's having to hook up through Metro when they develop and come through, and there's guidelines for that, but, up and down White Horse Road, everything's kind of,
What he's asking, what I was at, is the county paying for that or the developers paying for it?
no, we can make the developers, I made them, they had to put $1.5 million into fixing the road around this development too, because it didn't have a turn lane, it didn't have, it needed another stoplight.
Okay.
So for them to do that, they had to agree to fix up Old Bramlett Road and some of the other areas where the entrance to this place would be. So there's definitely ways to make them do that, but I think there's more we can do, but again, I gotta make sure I have more, citizen-minded councilmen instead of developer-minded councilmen currently. we
And the
have
two
a lot of
designations again were PD and what's the other designation?
FRD.
FRD, thank you.
Trying to think about, I kept going back to the Cherokee Landing thing because we were doing so much around it, but I think I got most of that part in.
Right.
They've already broken ground on that?
Yeah, well, they've leveled the land, they've started the retention pond, which they made the retention pond so high that, and I went over and met with him the other day, any runoff, even if it catches the water, he still have a pool in his yard because of the way that.
Where have we
runoff-
heard that
That's exactly
before?
what happened to us.
Us.
Can you hold them accountable for that?
I'm basically trying to catch it before they get too far into it.
Before it gets written off.
Yeah, because
Every person
that,
Signed
signed
up.
off on it should be doing that.
but that's the problem is if they can get away with it and they know there's enough time, it's just like when they can pass something, they know that people's lives are so hectic, they're not gonna come back and complain as much the next time. So there's a better chance of people just letting it go. And that's kind of how they've operated for a while. And now there's some of us who are willing to hold their feet to the fire, and I don't think they know how to handle it completely yet. But,
What do you see coming down the pike, sir?
well, as far as stuff that we're thinking about that I think will benefit the community and the citizens.
And how we can help support whatever you see radar wise?
Well, on this first one, I think is very important, and I don't know why we haven't done this before, but I know that people want to know what's going on, but a lot of times they can't come to the meeting and they can't watch it live stream, but they could easily go access it if it were on YouTube or if it were archived. And you can watch it live stream, but there's no archives at all. So you have to FOIA request it just to get the audio. And it's just way too difficult to get something the public should have access to in real time. Like if you missed the council meeting, you should be able to get online the next morning and watch it.
Right.
But, and so Stan, and this is not me, but I'm supporting Stan in this. He's supporting, preserving the recordings, and he's wanting to do it for pretty much perpetuity, forever.
Yeah.
Which would be a good thing, but I think for the website part of it, they should at least do 2 to 4 years, and then you could always get to another page to keep going back.
Right.
But the goal should be that whatever date it was, if you're like, I remember something happened on the second council meeting of April, you should be able to go back and just simply go click on it.
Set
And what is the
for
excuse?
precedence.
What is the excuse?
What's the opposition for?
What's the excuse?
Well, the opposition is they honestly don't want that information to be hanging around
That's
for,
right.
you know,
Silly
because,
transparency.
well, you know, they make decisions that cause lawsuits because they don't do their due diligence and stuff like that. And if that information's really accessible, it's probably just gonna ramp those up even more, which would, to me, would make the right choices the first time.
That's
That's
right.
what holds. It seems to me you could circumvent, can't you circumvent? I mean, somebody's gotta be able to record this.
Yeah.
As far as,
You can record the meeting, couldn't you simply record the meeting, even a bystander could record the meeting and put it
yeah,
in?
yeah, and
Because
some
the
groups
next
have done
records it,
that.
But only, they don't show, but what they want you to see.
But the
Well,
hardest part is when you have somebody, even if it's somebody with good intentions, they record the video.
Right.
But nobody else knows that person, so it's still not as many eyeballs on that issue as if they could go to the website and just go to the archived video and look at it, so.
And who's opposing this?
It's kind of pretty much the administrator down. It's, and it's any excuse that makes no sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense why this wouldn't be a regular thing. There's tons of government officials and town halls and city halls and county and all that.
It's normal.
They'll have YouTube channels for it.
It's
So
normal.
Yeah, so it should be normal here. I mean, especially with as much money as we have going through the county, with the many people that live here.
And it looks like the new building would have the technology to be able to achieve that.
Well, you would think so, but every time we do a live stream, they can't get the audio levels to work.
Somebody's
And,
bullshit.
Isn't that funny?
yeah,
It's not as quality as it appears.
I know.
I mean, I work there, I'm seeing details, you know, finished work, it's crap.
Well, it's like with the cost for pens and bottles and all stuff they mentioned. I go on Charlie James quite a bit, and he always brings up the artwork because it says that there's $50,000 worth of artwork, and I couldn't tell you where because I haven't seen a picture on the wall.
Right.
So I don't know what kind of artwork we paid for, but the only thing I can think of, just to not just throw them under the bus, is maybe artwork also considers the veteran memorial in the front, which I'm sure wasn't
Yeah.
cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's part of it, but if
There is
not.
some
Public
artwork,
artwork.
there is some, but it's not that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, well,
good.
if it is, then that's like Hunter Biden level artwork,
need to
where
do
they
art.
got $2 million in China artwork.
Betty, is there anything you can bring up or we can help you with election integrity with November 7th coming around the corner?
I would say, well, I'll throw this in there, this is kind of where I was gonna go with this, is I think that real conservative Republicans have a chance from now until this next election to not just change the dynamics of the county council moving forward in a positive direction, but to force these people to make the right decisions ahead of time, because you gotta think about it, 6 of them are gonna be campaigning for re-election. 2 of them are gonna likely do what most of the people in this room want them to do already, but the other 4 aren't. But if they wanna get votes, they're gonna have to. So it changes the whole dynamic. It's like they're trying to do all the stuff they can now, so they can get
Will we
it.
Lindsey Graham for 1 year
Right,
before, yeah, to
Right.
get reelected?
yeah,
Okay.
so,
That's on a national level, I see that
Unless
happen
another
in the
Lindsey
whole
Graham's
nation
book.
and everything.
yeah, so what you can do is definitely, just like with the Cherokee Landing issue, I reached out to people all over the county, because even though it was District 19, I was trying to tell them, but it might be 18 next and 17 after that, so some of their voters were sitting there watching how they were getting ready to vote, and that made it very hard for them to vote in favor of giving that tax break to that developer. So just, I mean, getting together with other like-minded, you know, conservative, politically minded people in the county and doing stuff like what you're doing
Audits
here.
with the machines, is there anything maybe you can push or lean on the council to?
Anything like that that would help secure up voting integrity, I'll be glad to present myself to council.
Okay.
Did you guys ever consider, especially on tax increases in the county, making a voting referendum?
Well, here, I'll explain I'm glad you brought that up. When they came to me originally, and the administrator actually came to me right before I was sworn in, so they were pushing this tax hike a long time ago, and I told them no from the very first time up till now, but I had said the only way that, because what happened is over 30 years, there was supposed to be a millage, which is taxes, a tax adjustment based on inflation. Every county did it, everybody does it, but we didn't do it, which is great, saved taxpayers money over 30 years. But then in this 1 year, they wanted to catch up for all 30 years at one time. And I said, that's ridiculous. So if you want a chance of this passing, number one, you should probably do it on a referendum where people vote. And I could support that because I know what people are gonna vote. I don't have a problem letting people do that. I mean, but they would have had a problem with that. And then on top of that, the only way you're gonna get support to even do this is if you did it very slow. Like if it, instead of 1 meal or 11, it was 1 or 2 over the course of, yeah, something like that. At least it would show that you're trying to be responsible with our money. But they just completely tried to do it all at one time.
Then
Can't blame them when they know they got Joey Russo's on board.
I work for Real Property Services,
Uh,
okay, so that's the tax assessor's office. And it's a lot. They do raise your taxes. Every
Oh.
5 years, there's a reassessment on your property.
Just happened.
Every 5 years, it's an increase in the
word, I
millage.
call it word salad.
Yeah,
and
it's
that-
verbal judo.
Well, and it's
It's
like,
wrong.
it's just like with this, and I keep going back to this one, but there's more stuff that I keep thinking about with this. One of the arguments was that this is tax revenue, which is different than taxes. You see what I mean by word salad? So they're trying to say that the tax revenue that comes back to the county is less of your money than the tax money you pay the county, and it's all your money. So,
Just
but
less
that's
than
just their way of trying to make it seem like the argument is mute, is by saying, well, this isn't about, it's not like the taxpayers are paying for it, but yeah, they are because they're having to offset what you're taking away from them.
If
It's
we
the same
could
thing.
get if we could flip and get stronger conservatives like you, can we work on the school not being able to have the power to tax on top like they did
This last time.
this
The-
last time?
The school thing is a whole different animal itself because it is so much. I mean, it's, most of the taxes go to pay for our schools, which obviously we have to have education, we have to teach our kids and all that kind of stuff, but it's a separate entity altogether. Like when they did their millage increase the same time we did, we had no oversight over that at all. We set the budget, kind of like we do at the sheriff's department, where we can't say you have to do this. So we can give opinions and kind of lean heavy with stuff like that, but we can't.
So it's a law thing that you can't change, or the county can't change, or?
I don't know what that would look like,
Okay.
because that's so
Most
much
of that
money.
stuff comes from state, right?
Well, I mean,
From
no,
schools?
well, no, it's us,
Most of it
it's on our tax bill.
They tax
What
us
about another voter referendum?
on top of the Greenville County
There could,
Council.
if you can get enough support and get a referendum on, anything with a referendum, it's just like this penny sales tax thing, they're getting ready to try to throw down everybody's throats, which is just gonna,
Spartanburg.
they're gonna try it in Greenville too.
Yeah.
So that's what's gonna say, something coming
Did
down the pipe.
Spartanburg do the same thing?
They did.
So they did a penny increase, plus they also increased the property taxes, the millage?
I don't think I don't think Spartanburg raised their millage,
They just did the penny.
but they did the penny.
They did the penny.
Um,
And now this group here is starting to do the penny here for the county. Is
They're
that right?
setting it up for a penny. They're basically, conversations that we're having are about how bad the roads are, and you can see it coming. Like I said, you can,
They've been collecting taxes forever on roads
And they
and
never get
bridges, and they don't allot it to those things.
well, I was gonna say, the problem is when they collect it on roads, it goes everywhere else except their
That's
roads.
right.
How can we,
People's
how
pockets.
can we, the people, hold their feet to the flame to do with our money what it's intended to do?
Well,
I mean, they keep going
Build a real
other
fire.
places.
A lot of these roads are state roads, right? And that creates issues in being able to get them fixed because the counties aren't.
It does, but we did pass something this past year where we have the ability to pay money to fix a state road now. We had an ordinance for that, but it's still kind of tricky because we're dealing with the state with that too, but it is possible now at least.
I have one other question that's kind of important. There's a personal thing, a young man that I know.
Mhm.
He owned a home, he got an error with his tax bill, about $900. A year later, they were gonna put his house up. He owned it outright. I went down to Spartanburg County, so I don't know if it's the same in Greenville. I went down there and talked to her because this $900 bill was now within a year, almost $5,000. With penalties and interest and all this other stuff. And the woman's credit, she was mortified. I said, so you're telling me we have to pay this by today or it's going on the block? She said, yes. I said, okay, so if they sell the house,
they take the 4,900 and give him the rest? No. They take it all.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but where I grew up, that's stealing.
No, I-
And is there anything that we can do? That's a bad law.
if, basically, that's a good question, and it kind of falls under the category of what can we do if we change the course of the current council, if that makes sense. Like, if we can get enough like-minded people that would actually fight that fight, I'd be willing to fight
There's
it.
too many department heads who are all in.
Well, that's,
all in
you
on
know,
this.
that's
I mean,
part-
honestly,
State
we're
for-
talking
here's the-
citizens that are not
Here's the
about
biggest
raising
problem with our
children
council
and
right
offending
now.
individuals.
If you look at the diagram, it says the citizens of Greenville County are at the top. And then after that, there's a little line and it says Greenville County Council. And then down from that, it starts to branch out with the administrators under that. And at some point in time, we've taken this entire
Yeah.
thing and we turned it upside down on its head.
How have we done that?
And then on top of that, we moved the citizens down to the bottom, in my opinion. But we just did it by allowing, I mean, if you have the same people in office for 20 years and you have the same people working there for that long,
Long enough
because
to
of the
get-
fact that we're dealing with so much money and decisions that are pretty powerful, that influence grows really fast to where those people at the
It's
top
kind of our
have.
fault.
It's called greed.
Yeah, it's all of our fault, which is another reason why I got involved, because I got kids that are growing up with mistakes I've made in the past and I have to do something to help
And I'm
change
gonna
it.
make it right,
Right,
but we do have to deflect.
right, and we have the chance to do that, and I think that's the good thing about more public eyes coming, paying attention to this level. Like, I watch the TV all the time, and I wanna throw up every time I turn the TV on both sides, to be honest, cause
Yes,
right now it's two wings of the same diseased bird,
yes.
but this stuff impacts all of us more than that stuff ever will, but we always put all our attention there. So if we can get more people focused on this, just that alone, just like at that level, it forces change here. Like they do whatever they want, 'cause they know nobody's gonna come, nobody really cares, and they find out 3 months later and it's already done.
Can I ask you a really stupid question? If you wanted to run for your office, for example,
Yeah.
you have to live in that particular precinct, that particular district?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think you have to live there for, I don't know how long it is, but you have to live there a little while. You couldn't just say, well, I'll move and then run, but you just have to live in the district and then you can run.
Good to know, thank you.
Yeah, multiple districts.
But
What's that?
just so you know, that the penny sales tax thing, there's gonna be a bunch of concepts to that too, because anytime there's a tax idea or concept, even if it sounds good, it's gonna have people reaching, wanting their hands out, so that we've already got everybody that was already issued with the budget saying they want a part of this. And my opinion is, if it's something to fix roads, if any money goes anywhere else, they should be penalized for it.
Yes.
Like, it should be an actual road tax, or a road penny sales tax. It's gonna fix the roads, but
Is there any way for us to know exactly where every dollar goes? Is there a way for us to audit?
there's no way for us to even know where every dollar goes.
I mean, can we get an auditor?
We have an auditor, and we do an internal audit, but it's kinda like in DC, when they say they're auditing, they're really auditing a number, they're not actually taking inventory. So I didn't realize that till with Afghanistan and some of that stuff, that when they say they audited it, they didn't really audit anything. They don't know how many certain vehicles are there. They didn't keep up with it like they
Well,
said
they're
they
showing
would.
up in other countries.
Yeah, same thing with the
That's
money.
terrible.
When
The one in Palestine.
Problem is, when you get the money, once you send it to a certain entity, that's when you kinda lose track of where it goes unless they have it really set up to know where all the, where the receipts are.
Which with our little
How's the
stuff,
best
that
way
should-
we can communicate with you? Email with the subject line and then some bullet points?
I have tried to
Or
take,
text,
I tried to take an approach that's a little different than the standard way.
Okay.
And I've done this with my music for so long because I was independent, but I basically ran like a business and, well, I was my own manager, so you can contact me anyway. It could be social media, it could be,
Okay.
the phone number's online or on the county site, my email. But I do all my social media, so I talk to people through there too, and if any way at all. The best way to do it is through email, because if it's something that I forward on to council,
Okay.
then yeah, exactly. And basically anything that I do where I'm talking business is traceable too, so I'm doing it knowing that somebody could FOIA request a social media page. I've nothing to hide there, so.
Does
that's-
Stan and Steve have the same opinion you do, that they're willing to do that social media?
I think Steve would. I don't know if some of them are geared for that. It's something I think they probably, I got lucky because of what I do.
Right.
I had already been
Right.
doing it. So,
Yeah.
so for this, kind of like, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm doing it without a
Always
guitar,
do.
but
Yeah.
it's something I think that they would do. It would just be a learning curve, but they should. And we've discussed even starting to try to do something where if we get them archived, doing some kind of a short form podcast at the end of council and kind of do a review. Nothing with any bias on any issue, whether it's yes or no, but just this is what we voted on, this is what happened, and that way they can see us talking about it and see it maybe after the
There's gotta be
fact.
some
Cool.
public access to the channel.
Any other questions for Mr. Benton?
What else can we better help you?
Anything that you see,
Okay.
let me know. I've had people call and they're like, well, I didn't call for 3 months because I wanted to I didn't want to bother you. It's like, you should have called me the day you had an issue. Like, it can be a text message. I get text messages, call, if it's an idea, if it's something you see in the community, if it's something that needs to be reported anonymously. I've had a lot of those calls. People are worried about
And then
safety.
I would imagine what? Showing up to the council meetings, I would assume.
Yeah, and coming to council meeting, and if you do have a busy schedule, obviously, you don't wanna come to a meeting that I call a dud, where basically there's nothing really going on, and it's nothing that's gonna be good information. I don't want people to waste their time to do that, but
Tommy had a good idea about pictures. You okay with sending you a picture?
yeah.
Something that in our neighborhood?
Something
that-
Oh, I get pictures, like I have somebody who built a shed in their front yard and ran electricity and plumbing and all this other stuff to it, and somebody sent me a picture and I sent it to the codes and they were right on top of it, so that helps a lot.
That would segue, I mean, my last question is, I brought this up to the council the other night.
Yeah, they made me tear my damn building down, I hate it.
And I didn't get to expound on it, cause I did deer in the headlights 3 minutes, I don't know. So,
No, you did a good job.
do we know who's here? And what I meant by that nationwide, obviously our southern borders open.
Right.
I'm really concerned about that. Is this Greenville city and county being a drop off?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we're
Yeah.
And so that's.
Oh, I know they are.
that-
Yes,
Go
they are.
Walmart. They tell you to get
Those
on
We had
buses are
cartels
doing-
next to us.
Yeah, we had it took us 7 months to get rid of the cartel, so you need to go up the food chain,
And we talked
folks.
to him, and he
Okay.
was
You
very
go up the
helpful.
food chain and you get a master deputy.
Yeah, we
The
do have,
master deputies
we
will
have
help
the
you through.
cartels that are here, and
Yeah.
I know it to the point of, I was told by a guy who runs a produce stand where to go and
Sam.
sit, but he said, yeah, I can't say his name out loud.
Thank you. Shut up.
No, you're fine. But I sat and watched a deal happen, and it was dangerous enough where I probably shouldn't have been where I was. But it's not a little bit of drug issues, it's gigantic bags of dangerous drug issues.
Cartel out of Tijuana is the one that runs this area.
Yeah,
You know, we had a drive-by shooting in front of our house.
There's a lot
San
of,
Susie.
a lot of
Yeah.
sheriffs now.
Oh, there's shooters over there all the time.
That are deputized in
Sheriff's
sections.
not back there.
mm-hmm,
First, to protect them, their Second Amendment rights.
So I don't believe going without
The
nation.
second reason is to have more people in the state and have the authority.
yeah.
As things are going to continue to get public rumors.
How do we get?
I authorize it myself.
There you go, that's one way, but I would definitely ask Hobart about it and
Sure.
see what see what his takeaway is on
We
it.
already know what his
We
name
already
is.
know what his
The
name
the
is.
bottom line is you need a master deputy. And the master deputy is assigned to your particular community. And you follow the instructions, exactly what we did. It took us over 7 months to get the cartel moved out, but they moved out.
Yeah.
Master
Well,
work.
something else I wanted to make sure
Go
to
ahead.
mention.
Sure.
Something that I'm working on now, and I think it's to the point where I can start talking about it. I held off because, again, vote-wise, but I think in this year leading up to an election, it's gonna be harder for them to fight this. But they kept saying we had to raise taxes because there's no way to come up with the revenue any other way, and I just called bull on that, to be honest. I said, there has to be, there's plenty. I played a show this past weekend with Tracy Bird in Georgia in this place called Heard County, and it's kind of like going to Pumpkin Town. There's nothing, it's in the country, but it's the nicest roads I've ever been on in my entire life, and I was like, there's something weird, what's going on here? So I get to the Performing Arts Center where we're playing, and it's attached to a middle school. And so I realized and I talked to the guy who was in charge, they use that place to have concerts, and they use that money to put back into the county, and that's why the roads are paved. So right there is one way that you can generate revenue that's not tax money.
That's right.
And so we're looking at stuff like that, but one of the big things is that developers that they're giving all these incentives to, in my opinion, need to be paid in Greenville County.
That's
to
right.
build
I
those.
agree.
Right,
So I'm working on an ordinance that
Cash
you
cow.
can't call it an impact fee. There's certain things you can't call it, but what I can do is basically, if I can get council to sign off on it, and some states do it to where it's up to $6,000 a door. So imagine an apartment with 128 rooms, and the developer has to pay the county $6,000 per door. And I'm saying it's some of the bigger places
Sure.
in the country, but
can't you close the bids to outside developers? Can't you make the bids specific to the county for the developers?
you can, that's gonna be another uphill battle with just the boats and the people, but you definitely can do
That
that.
just reminded me of something. So years ago, for the county, the yearly county auction, where they sold all their surplus equipment and everything, you used to be able to go down there and get it, and you had to be there.
Right.
Now, somebody in California can bid on it. Our tax dollars bought it, and now anybody in the country can buy it. I think we should be allowed to buy it first.
Absolutely.
So there's trucks being sold on there, but somebody from Illinois is able to log in, and it's all online. So if our tax dollars bought it, it should be limited to Greenville
That
County
was something
residents
that
buying it back.
unfortunately happened because of the COVID stuff. Maybe
Yeah,
they
it's still
just-
happening right now.
Yeah, well, we need to fix that. That's
Well,
something.
'cause I couldn't afford one of them because all these people were, you know, I can't compete with the whole country.
Yeah.
Hey, can you get a dump truck? Just drive down there, and since you're a taxpayer and part of your money is paid for a dump truck, can you go there and get okay? I need a dump truck, 10-ton dump truck, I need some gravel in my yard or my driveway. Can you just have that done by yourself, or you have to get somebody to do it?
I don't.
What?
That ain't legal.
It's not like I'm gonna steal the truck.
Right.
You know, I come down there, I'll
That's a
just
good
go buy a
segue,
bunch of money.
Thank you.
Hey, I need it in my driveway, I'm serious.
Yeah, I bet you do. Okay, so,
I got a circle driveway, I need it, really need it.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we love you.
I know.
All right, so thank you so much
Try
for
to be
coming.
like
Let's
you.
give him a hand. We're definitely gonna be, supporting anything you come down the pike, so just,
And
Tell us why
at the same
we
time,
really appreciate
if
it.
there's anything that you think I'm doing that I shouldn't be, don't hesitate. It's not gonna bother me in the least if I get a call from Ron or whoever who just says, hey, why did you vote on that? You know,
sure.
I believe in accountability.
That's good.
Like I said with music, I started in the church, and I've kept that mentality of living above reproach, so
Good.
I'll take
Good.
all the accountability I can
Squeaky
get.
I'm glad I voted for you.
Well, thanks.
You actually talk like Trump. I understand every word Trump says. I don't understand nothing that Pelosi or the rest of them says. They talk around in circles. I don't even know some of the words
Well,
they
they don't
use.
want you to understand what they're saying. That's part of the problem.
But Trump, he says what he says.
Oh,
All right,
yeah?
folks, but for the sake of time, we can stay here till 11, but I'll.
Yeah, y'all wanna stay here at 11? I say
No,
yeah.
That's okay, thank you very
Thank y'all
much.
very much.
Give this guy some gravel so we can keep him.
Hey, can I- 10 ton. 10, that's all I need, 10 ton.
So folks, what we're trying to do here in Zone 11, if I can tap into your talent and to your vision, I'd like to cast a vision. At my job, as a safety coordinator, I'm always concerned about second and third shift and the fourth and fifth shifts on the weekend. What happens if there is a spill? What happens if somebody gets hurt? Are they our employee or are they from the temp service? What if there is a fire drill? What if there is a severe weather alert? Instead of going online and is there paper in the printer and what's my password, when stuff hits the fan, you need a grab and go manual notebook. We still need paper and pen and just grab and go, fill the thing out, scan and email it, take a picture and text. You follow me? So what I'm envisioning for our precinct is what tapping into the resources we have with mySCGOP, with Greenville GOP, and creating a manual notebook for the presidents and ECs of how to build their precincts, okay? Where to go to get the information, because we're zone 11, but we're district 19, and then the school board's another, I think, 26. It's crazy, right? They make it confusing.
Yeah.
So we have, this is old, but, all right, so I'm in District 4, District 26, District 2, District 5, District 19, and we're zone 11 for the Greenville County GOP through Columbia. So we have these websites that we can help our neighbors to get involved. We have the social media, and we have a representative that we can work with. That Excel spreadsheet, Ron, you did was fantastic. Okay, so folks, I'm just some ideas, I'm wanting some help, and then the beauty of this is if we make this, how do you run a meeting? Okay, how do you set up the minutes like Miss Kimberly is doing right now? What if we as an individual West Side precinct or Furman precinct or the whole zone 11, what if we want to collect some money to do a charity or do something with that? We need a treasurer and how to set up a banking and make sure everything's accountable and transparent. Wouldn't it be nice just to have a manual, all right, to make that happen? And folks, we're just going to fall forward and make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. But if you've got a passion, if you've got a skill, I mean, we don't have time tonight, but this guy has put together an amazing website, and ask him to email you the link. Matter of fact, if you put your email down on the sign-in sheet, he can email you the link. It's an amazing website for Saluda, right? It's Saluda Precinct. And it's
For the entire Greenville County.
I understand, but it's and this young man has got some talent. So we've got enough talent in the room, okay? And then we can sit there and how do we engage? We can have a whole section. How do we engage county council? Okay? How do we support them? How do we hold them accountable? All right? The next meeting, I would love to have Amanda Brett from the school board that's in our area. She's our representative to come and do exactly what Benton did tonight. What's on her heart? What's her passion? What are her battles? How can we help? See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
We're just going to work together. Nobody's got, a kingpin mentality. We're just going to work together. We got the reorg people here. We got the talented and the technology. Folks, we can do this, okay? I want your help. So you've got my email. If you don't have my email, it's joefreedom76@outlook.com. JOEFREEDOM, freedom, 76. I got saved in 1976. I got my freedom.
Amen.
At outlook.com. Okay? So we'll sit there and we'll network this thing. Tommy is just amazing with all the energy and the abilities and availability.
Hot dog.
His head's a little big, but no, he's a great guy. He's a good cook. So, yeah, we've got the talent in this room, folks, to make this happen, and I need your help.
Good idea.
Okay?
I was gonna ask a good question, not
No
no
gravel
gravel.
question, no dump trucks,
If
okay?
I go into a restaurant, city restaurant,
Yes.
and I want Randall Fowler to become part of the council, right? Is that against the rules that I should not be talking to anybody in there?
Somebody will probably gravel over it.
I don't wanna get arrested,
If you're there to eat, and I'm here, I'm just talking.
I know, I talk a little loud, sometimes when I'm at the Golden
You're asking me a
Corral.
question, I'm eating at a restaurant with my wife, because we were able to get out of the house from the grandkids and the parents she's watching, and we want a quiet meal together.
No, you
I
don't
don't wanna hear about
You
rap.
don't want me there next to you then.
No. If you're talking to me, and you're allowed to
If
be
you're
there,
just
but
having
I'll
to
move
listen.
over a couple chairs.
You're not gonna tell me to shut up though. Well, I've had people tell me to, something about, hate Trump. They get started loud and I just quit talking. I said, well, they just hurt my feelings. I'll tell you that pretty loud too.
Would that be something that you would consider for the manual, is how to, is maybe
Conduct yourself in public.
Well, not only
how
that,
to engage your people to do that for you. if nothing else.
fantastic, and yes, yeah, a
Yeah.
whole section on how to, these door hangers are phenomenal.
Hey, I made a couple of people upset when I went down, Lily Street.
Mhm.
One woman, I said, after I talked to her about the other things, I said, I know you're voting for Trump too. She said, that's to be seen. Then this other lady had a Dorothy door sign in her yard, and I said, do you know Dorothy? She said, yes. I said, well, I don't guess I can talk to her too much. And I said, now you might know her. I said, but I said, I've got friends that's gay. And I said, they said that they wish that the politicians would leave them alone, because they give them a bad name. They got them weirdos that's acting gay.
Right.
They're not gay, they weirdos. Anyway, I said, you may not know that about her. I said, but she's pushing LGBT.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ed, we want to go ahead and close tonight.
Yeah.
Any other questions real quick?
Just a comment, Joe.
Sure, yes.
I was gonna say, we need to go around the precincts that are here and hear from what they.
We,
that's what this
okay,
was
all
That
right.
was what was.
No, that's fine.
Supposed to be from.
That's fine. All right, so, the precincts, no, thank you, Tommy. The precincts that we have here tonight. And Mr. Benton, if you need to go, that's fine. We understand. You've been, how many meetings today? Oh, okay, so.
This
He's
is-
sitting
this-
down
this-
now.
This has been the most enjoyable one.
Did you get a hot dog?
Miss Kimberly, you got my notes. We're gonna let Ron go first. Of the precinct presidents that are here are ECs. Ron Tomacho is from Furman. Give us an update,
I
please.
just wanted to make a couple comments. I like the way you presented that book. I think that's a great idea, and I think there's nobody with a thoughtful mind who's going to object to that.
Cool.
It's going to work, and I don't mind helping you guys do
Fantastic.
it.
Awesome.
My disappointment was, I sent a message to every one of the people on the list. One lady responded. That's an
Thank you.
apathetic,
I get an A.
that's an apathetic
Gold star, gold star.
situation that needs to be
I
overcome.
wish I could have came to that meeting, but there's just so much on my plate with my mother moving down.
Yeah, I
got a lot
understand
going on,
that.
and I'm normally engaged.
What I'm trying to say is,
Okay.
we got what, 4 precincts here out of, how many we're supposed?
We have 11
What's-
precincts, yeah.
What's going on? Why are these folks not showing up? And I lay that at the foot of the individual. I just don't give a damn. I'm
Well,
not
I
going
tell
to
you
any
what,
meeting.
maybe this will draw them in.
It's a process. It's a
Maybe it'll
process.
draw them in.
And
And
I
also
think the
for-
current events are starting to wake people up, and I think that they're more ready to hear. I think that people are getting ready to be sparked by one of us to come along and say, hey, we can plug you in somewhere, we can show you, if you have a passion here, we have a committee here. And we just need to be proactive. I do it at the doctor's office, I do it at work, I do it at, wherever I am, if I just hear somebody interested or comment.
Well, that's what I
go
think is
for
the
it.
beauty of this, of the
Yeah.
concept.
Yes.
You just gotta get the people to show
No,
up.
Right, and you, two
Paul,
of
you
them
had
didn't
something?
show up tonight that I thought would,
Thank
so.
No, you're good. Good, Paul.
I was just gonna say, for someone who's newly involved and, you know, having a roadmap is very helpful. Having people that are willing to mentor you and walk you through this is also very helpful.
Cool.
So,
You got a lot of talent.
I like that,
You got a
so.
lot of talent. Mike?
I'm glad that Ron brought that up, because I think the biggest challenge we have right now is getting ECs to engage. We've got a great core group, but it's the same people. Knocking on doors, the same people, you know, working on stuff. I think what we have to do, and this comes back to a high level of organization, is structuring things so that we can give people a vision of what we're trying to do, and then give them one thing. If we can give each EC just one thing to do, because I think a lot of it is they're afraid that they get in and they're gonna get sucked in and all their time's gonna be taken and they don't have enough time. And if we just say, look, just show up and do this, I think that might be a way to start drawing them in. And then as they start doing it and they get satisfaction out of it, it's like me, I started out and I didn't want to be an EC, I wasn't sure I had enough time, right? And then you find out it's not all that intrusive, and then, but as you start digging into it, you get drawn in more and more and more, because you know how important it is.
And I appreciate that leadership doesn't put me on a guilt trip because they know what's going on, and if I could, I would. And my wife is making sacrifices so I can be here tonight, because it's just such a tight schedule, and this next 3 weeks has been nuts, and will be nuts for me. But then
Everybody has different time.
Then I've got, Tommy, and I got David showing up. The precincts, look at the number of, not precinct zones, but the committees. Go to the committees. This is his amazing website.
Okay, now, we got down here, we got a bunch of websites here. Some of our websites, I created a pro-life website you can click on. And we're doing a lot with the pro-life website. We've got 40 days for life right now that you can go sign up and go to the abortion clinic. And there's a bunch of things. We have a pro-life movie coming this Wednesday. Thursday. Roe versus Wade, if you want to come and watch the movie. We've had 3 movies this year. So, but you have an election committee. On the election committee, they haven't given me any information yet.
Okay.
But we have like 35 people on the committee. They meet bi-weekly. They're asking for poll watchers. They're asking for people to help, and I'll probably get involved. And candidate recruitment committee, I've been involved, and there's not any, I haven't contacted these people yet, but I'm been trying to help Randall Fowler as a solicitor precinct with Tommy going out and doing. And we got the medical freedom committee. But here's a list of some of the committees going down this way. And you can see that finance, you got the membership reorg, you got rules committee, you got right to life, business networking, parallel economy, communication, public relations. You can scan this little barcode and you'll connect with somebody and you can fill it out and it'll go to them. And you can learn a bunch about different, and who's on it, newspaper releases, public relations.
Are your juices moving? You got an IT buddy.
We have a whole bunch of stuff going on. 23 committees going on right now, and that's a lot more than what we used to have, and it's just wonderful. I mean,
fantastic?
like, they meet the Scott Gear is a genius.
You give that like 100%.
I mean, Scott Gear is a genius, and he's working very hard to make sure this election that we're gonna have is gonna be right on the level. When you brought up about if there's anything we can do with it, I'm sure Scott Gear will be connecting with you. He probably has some things that you want to connect with. Now, I'd like to point out a couple more, if you don't mind.
Go for it, yes, sir.
Okay, now you got this right here. Now, you're in the Furman precinct?
Yes.
Okay, what zone is that? I mean, okay, we're in zone 11. So you go down to zone 11 and you go to Furman precinct.
Thank you.
I got the kid text.
Thank you again.
Thank y'all very
Well,
much.
I-
I'm gonna look at that as soon as I get home. I'll do one of the live streams and you can get on with me and we'll talk about that.
I would love to.
We do
There
that.
you go.
I think that would be great for the
Awesome.
That'd be wonderful.
Let's do it.
I'll do whatever I need to do.
Okay.
I can be quiet and laugh.
And so you look at this, and you can download it,
Unbelievable.
and you can see your precinct map, okay? You don't have to call Tommy to get your precinct map. And you get the zone, and if you go back to that map, and you wanna see zone 11.
Did you make this yourself?
Yes, I did all this.
Good job.
And then you go to zone 11, Tommy gave me the maps, to put on here. And then you go, well, that's not the zone 11, that's the zone 11. So there's a zone 11 map that
What
we
are the
have.
zones what are the numbers behind, like Poinsett said 297 or something?
That's your zone
Columbia.
number.
That's the zone number.
I mean, your precinct number.
Precinct number.
Precinct number,
There's
got
if there's a note with in the parentheses,
Yeah.
it's how many delegates you have in your precinct.
Got it.
They're eligible to vote.
And then you got the, who your contacts are for zone 9, who to contact. Now, if you guys want to give personal information about your precinct or your zone, I can put that on here. If you want your email, I can attach you to this. If people, this can only be good if I get input.
What's the website?
It's salutagop.com.
Here we go.
Now, and like I said, some other pages on the website, which I think are reasonable. You got, I should have brought this here, when Benton was here. This is Benton's favorite thing right now. He's big on the thousands of lives upstate, and what you have if you are poor and broke, and your house is falling apart, you contact these people and they'll fix your home up. Benton Blount's big on that. I wish I would have put it on here before he left. And then of course we got a gallery page. Anybody can submit on there, and the library of videos. Good News Friday is a really good thing to watch.
I like watching that.
If you get depressed or sad, you just go ahead, go to Good News Friday, and Lawrence will have a good news. And these are the last couple. And here is the October 17th, the county council meeting. I got a copy of that. And
Can you make that play? I can't make it on my computer.
You have to press that white arrow.
Gotta press that white arrow, and you gotta
Kinda looks
find
like a
the
side
right.
Oh, I thought I had logged in or something.
And you go, if you wanna go to YouTube, it works.
Rough crowd.
I couldn't make it work on his either, doesn't it?
Okay.
Wasn't
Then
that
you got this page right here, precinct zone events, and if you wanna post something, send me something to post, I'll post it. Like this is our zone 11 meeting, which we sent to all you guys. Tommy sent the emails out, and so, and then we got candidates and voting, which is a real good page. And then that's the candidate and voting. You got the early hours voting. You know about the voting. You know about. Oh, you know, this is good. You got maps on here. It's a lot easier maps. You enter an address. I'm sure if I do it, it's gonna mess up. You enter an address. Then you say you enter. You click on one of these links. You enter the address. You'll see the map, and right below it, you'll see what precinct you're, what voting district you're in. You don't have, if you're not registered to vote, you can find out the information about who they are, who they should be talking to, and all that. It's one of these links here.
Can you also put recommended clients, candidates, for example?
Okay, go to candidate recruitment on committees. That would be something that Deborah could go ahead and give me, and we could do that. And then we got this page right here, you were talking about earlier. And I'll only just put one thing on here, and I thought about it today. Tools for members to use to accomplish our mission. And I got an so you can open that up and you get an idea of what you might want to say. It only will be good if people work on it. If people don't work with me and look at it and give me feedback, I'll just let it die. I won't do anything.
I love it,
with
it looks great.
So,
Good
but
job. That's great.
and the reason I got the Liberty Bell, because it means a lot. The Liberty Bell, find your jubilee, your freedom. And so at the bottom of this page, I got the story of the Liberty Bell, so you can watch that little video.
I think having a recommended slate of candidates would be very helpful,
The
because
context
early,
is
because
pretty
early
good.
voting is taking place, we're the
Right
park or something or other fire district, I don't know who we're recommending to vote for.
And if I don't know,
Yeah, and
if I don't
having
know
some sort of
something,
bullets that
and it's not on the
list
site,
what
I'll put
their
it on there,
hot
I'll make it
topics
very
are, what
prevalent so
they
that
want.
everyone will see it.
Okay, who,
Usually trying to get through.
where can we get that information?
Of what?
Which candidates, like the Parker Fire District or something?
Okay, I'll tell you that in a second. Here we go. Go back to this.
Okay.
And we'll go back to committees.
Got it.
And the person to talk to, would be on, candidate recruitment? Stephone Taylor or Deborah McCauley, and this was copied from somewhere, but Deborah McCauley, I don't have her contact information, but you contact her
Big
office.
Birdmont.
That's her?
We,
No, she's not.
Big
no, no,
Birdmont.
makes me
No,
come on.
I'm
But you
Deborah
can,
Maxwell.
our
Got
office,
it.
we staff the office now,
Okay.
from 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 12, on Saturdays.
Okay.
On Fridays, we have coffee and politics.
Okay.
And you can call the office and we can get you the contact information to talk to Deborah McCauley or Stephone Taylor, who they want to vote for, because Deborah McCauley knows all about the fire districts.
Okay.
She knows everything. And I don't know, and she's the one that talks the most. I'm sure Stephone Taylor knows everything too, but Deborah is very, very, very much vocal. This is her 6th campaign working with Randy Fowler. So these committees are very busy, and they're getting strong, and they're getting. Even though you're getting fewer people, it might make you feel defeated. Be aware that the committees are working hard, and all they gotta do is find some way to make these people care. And that's I think the biggest challenge that's going on. You gotta find out why they should care. And going along with that, I've got one little page I wanna share with that, news research on that page. Now, of course, you got the Good News Friday, that's all good news. Then education news, we got a woman by the name of Susanna Cervavia.
She's amazing.
And she's amazing.
Yes.
She is very much into saving children. And she's very much into the critical race theory, the DEI, the transgender, and all that
Great,
stuff.
thanks.
And this is one letter that she recently wrote, and I put it on here, and there's a bunch of links that I would like you guys to take a look. And if you know some of your people have kids, tell them to go to this website and look at some of these links and see if they want their kids to be people or be taught this or that, and they might decide to become involved. So I really think that you got to get people find something that they are passionate about with these committees. Oh, one more. I just wanted to say this. I created this website too for mothers, okay, for people who want to be mothers. And there's websites. There's Equal Protection, Love for You. The Love for You is a website that Carrie created, our chairman. She created this website, and it's in Spanish as well as English, and it tells you about how we can help and where people can go. But there's resources on my website too to help people. So pro-life Greenville and SalutaGOP.com.
All right, folks, let's finalize tonight by picking a date that works for the people in here. Somebody's got a day timer.
We only heard from one precinct.
I got an idea time.
How many other precincts I got West Side, but how many other precinct leaders are here tonight? Leewood, West Cliff, Sulphur Springs, okay. Can you give us like 3 minutes?
I don't have anything specific.
Okay, yes, Ms.
You
Paul.
want me to start? Okay.
Sure.
So in my precinct, I'm sorry, it's Leewood.
Okay, awesome.
And every Sunday, I meet with about 5 to 6 other neighbors, and we have a patriotic small group. We call ourselves the Buxton Patriots because we live in the Buxton neighborhood.
Oh, wonderful.
So yes, we get together and we fellowship, we pray, and we've been doing a study through Hillsdale College, and it was on the death of citizenship. But that is over now, so now I want to propose to them, I need help. Like, I need help organizing the precinct. I need help, like, walking the neighborhood and mapping things out. So I would like us, that's what I'm gonna suggest to them, that we transition into action now. Like, yes, we know what the problem is. What can we do as a small group to start changing our neighborhood? So that's where it's at right now. But it's been really awesome getting to know fellow patriots and my neighbors. It's just been.
How many people come?
There's 6 of us.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see 7 next time.
Yeah. And
They allow outsiders, but give them enough heads up time.
yeah, because it's in a small
We were in there.
kind of area. Yeah, they came and spoke to us, so that was
awesome.
really great. And it's really cool to be praying with your neighbors and like getting to know them on a different level than, look, I'm from California, like people wouldn't even wave. So for me to be praying with my neighbors and getting to know them, having relationships and like trying to do things politically with them is a huge difference.
Maybe you could go ahead and the next Sunday meeting that you have, challenge at least one person, bring at least one person. So you have 7 the following Sunday.
So I texted them, I said, hey, did you guys hear about this? So I don't think they even knew about that. So that was, I will make sure that I invite them to the next zone meeting.
Yes.
Ahead of time,
That'd
so
be
we
awesome.
start doing that. So.
Who can find a place? Berea contacted Tommy. The Berea Library.
It's always possible, but you have,
But we
Tom
need
Ron has a place he might.
Okay, but we need a date. But hold tight on the date. We got 2 more precincts.
Well, Sulphur Springs, we have a small but committed, we meet once a month at the Berea Library.
Okay.
And we took the precinct list and sorted it out by the most appropriate people, and we have a two-phase
There you go.
thing to
Awesome.
get the people that have voted consistently the way we want them to. We're gonna contact them first, and then after for the general election, we'll, go after the other guys. And I created a little card to go on this
Oh, that's wonderful.
that says, join your neighbors at the Berea branch of the library at 10 a.m. on the second Saturday of each month for a gathering of the good citizens of the Sulphur Springs precinct.
That is awesome.
And I also made a note, because this refers to rhinos. When I first started this, I had no idea what a rhino was, so I identified what rhino meant, and then I have been taking
Cool.
the constitutional class by Patriot Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a couple of quotes from that to inspire people about the importance of being involved.
Debbie McCauley with our candidate recruitment committee is watching the live feed.
Oh, cool.
And she said the person you want to vote for with the Parker Fire District is Charlie Mullinax. Is that
Charlie
correct?
Mullinax.
Charlie Mullinax.
Thanks, Jeff.
She's watching and
Yay, Debbie.
So we need a picture of that.
she put it in the live chat, but I guess y'all are
You
not
got it, thank
on
you.
the chat.
You can have that one, thank you.
Okay, pass that up, please.
I'll put it on the website.
That's awesome.
That's why I brought
And
it.
that could be in our
Anything-
notebook.
Yeah.
Okay, any other
What's
precinct?
his last name?
Any other precinct news?
Mullinax.
That's it, I guess.
Okay, what's the calendar look like?
MU, yeah.
Pull a calendar right here.
Meetings, Joe.
Huh?
How often are you gonna meet zone meeting?
We can do them as often as we can. It's just logistics with me, and I don't have to be involved, because I
We're
got
trying to
backup.
do at least once a quarter. Try to do it at least once a quarter. That gives you all, your precincts, at least to do it once a quarter or twice a quarter. And then
Sure.
bring that back to us. So you do what you're doing in your precincts.
go.
You gotta get your precincts working. And then you bring your questions or answer, whatever you need back to a zone that we could work with you. Like say, your, whatever precinct's right next to your precinct.
But if we could sit
need to
there and
hit this area.
work with these
Right.
folks doing theirs and help them, I have the hardest time with mine because of the nature of my precinct. But if I can go and help support grow in another one,
Right.
and then get some ideas, and then when I do have an event, have y'all come over and help me, that would
Yeah,
be
that's,
fantastic.
And then capture it in your binder.
Yes, yes, thank you, yes.
We'll give you a
Half
pin.
of mine is
Get that
the-
desk and line
I can't
flare.
even get in.
I learned a few days ago, Tommy and I and Deborah were talking about when a good time for a zone meeting would be. November was just too close to what we just had ours. December is Christmas, won't be any good. February is, I think we're gonna have a business meeting. So I think January might be a good time, and I think Thursday might be better than a Tuesday in January. And maybe the third.
January 4th or 11th?
January, here's the calendar, January,
4th or the 11th?
the other thing is if you kind of make it a consistent thing, so if you're gonna say quarterly, then it's the third week of the month or something like that. It helps people to kind of keep their
Well,
schedules
that's-
clear.
Okay, January sounds like a good month to start, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a quarter from
The
now.
11th of every month, of every quarter.
Let's go down to the third week then.
Okay,
Third week?
Third week, how do we make?
12th.
The third week is good for me.
That's 18.
18th?
The 18th?
18th.
Okay, how about Thursday, the 18th?
We'll send out an email.
Everybody like Thursday 18?
13th, Thursday, 18th.
Yeah, they like Thursday 18.
I can't ever be on Thursday.
Oh, no, can't be on the Thursday.
I'll make a page
I'm just
development,
one.
the zone
Write
meeting
that
development.
All right, any other business that we can close out, folks?
I do trail lights.
Is there- Can we make a motion?
Wednesday or Tuesday?
Go ahead.
See, Wednesday they do prayer meetings.
Right.
7
So
o'clock.
Tuesdays are better, right?
Oh, a location, we got a location to be determined.
Yeah, do
Fire station, there's not enough seats.
So why don't you like Tuesdays? Joe?
Fire,
Why don't you like Tuesdays?
Someone said Thursday. We can make
Thursday,
She can't come on
Deborah,
Thursday.
I can't
January.
go on Thursday either.
Let's do
All right,
Tuesdays.
You got something else going on that day.
Tuesday?
Well, the problem is, that I wanna make sure it doesn't conflict with the councilman meeting.
Oh, yeah, council meets on
And
Tuesday.
the only day, they meet the first and third or something like that, I don't
They do
know,
Wednesdays.
the second, I don't know when they meet, but they
Wednesdays
meet on
is our
Thursdays.
upper
But they like
window.
Tuesdays.
Wednesdays we
And then Monday.
Yeah, Wednesday's not good because people do church, so.
Right.
So Thursday is a good day, I think, and for this, at least for this next one, you can change it for the next quarter.
Yeah,
to
maybe we'll
Tuesday.
open it.
If you do it the second Thursday, I'm okay.
No, so I'm okay with the
Second Thursday, would that work for?
Tommy, would that work for you?
That don't work for you?
Okay.
The
Okay.
11th works.
11th, folks.
All right, so
Thursday the 11th,
Yeah.
I'll put it on my calendar.
All right. And Ms. Kimberly, 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
And
We don't know where
Are we
you-
gonna be?
Well, we're gonna work with,
We're
Ron's
gonna
gonna help
fire
us out with
station.
that.
Probably Chapel Fire Station.
Oh, that's great.
Which is right off of White Horse.
That's a great place.
Awesome.
Nice,
Call it a zone meeting.
I came here
convenient,
for 5 days.
comfortable, decent parking.
Okay.
Any other business before we close?
Nope.
Fantastic meeting, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have one more thing. Anybody that does want to be a poll watcher, come see me after the meeting. I get your name and put you in poll watcher. We're gonna have we'll have a poll watcher.
No, I just thought, you were
Training.
training, I think what you've done is.
Yes.
I'd like to have somebody close in prayer. Somebody want to close in prayer for us?
Thank God we're all here together. Thank you.
All right, Deborah,
This
go
Deborah.
ahead.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you and praise you for who you are. You're Yahweh. We acknowledge you as the God of our country, the United States of America, and our founding fathers. You set this great and wonderful Constitution in place. Father, thank you for each and every person here as they go out representing you and representing the United States of America. God bless them in their endeavor to reach their neighboring community for you, for God and country. Thank you for every person who came. Bless their families and their children with health, life, and happiness. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Good meeting,
And God
folks.
bless Israel.
I got
Amen.
one other
Agreed.
suggestion of help. Before you go to bed tonight or first thing in the morning while it's fresh in your mind, send me a takeaway, good, what good we did, what we can improve on.
How do we
Okay?
get in touch? Oh, Joe Freedom.
Joe Freedom 76 at Outlook. Let's keep improving, okay? We fall forward, we make mistakes, we learn from them, we build experience, and we just keep improving, right?
I heard two great prayers, I guarantee
Like
you.
football, you always fall forward.
Fall forward.
Oh, is everyone okay to try to get that,
We gotta fall back this time.
that school board person for the next
I know
meeting?
you want Amanda Brett.
Amanda Brett?
Yeah,
Yes.
I went down.
We'll try to get her to come to the next
I'll
meeting.
tell you that,
Thank
I
you.
was saying that earlier. The two ladies out there speaking, we got to fly this.
That was a good.
And I said, oh, they'd be a good people to talk to, right? But anyway, Earl
See
Street
how you
Baptist
have to
Church, the lady said that they didn't do it no more.
We had skeletons.
Great.
Well, one person
Yeah, they
can
were
try.
being-
Don't worry.
But it wasn't because somebody rambled, it was because people wanted to.
Yes,
Right,
that's
so-
very good information.
Right.
Just didn't talk, I saw his
Don't remind
page.
me of that.
Thank you for taking those wonderful
You
notes.
sure you don't do this?
People
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna give it to Tom. And please email Tommy. You got his email,
Is
right?
fish your real name or is that?
David, me. Awesome, thank you for doing
I
this.
don't know.
Thomas. It's you. Good job. All right, I know your brains help out any way you can. You need to have your thumbprint on this, young man.
Yeah, I went